Hello everyone. So in this video I would be discussing about what is acid base titration, and that is especially using pH meter. So I hope you remember that in previous videos I told you that there are many types of titration wherein acid base is one of them. Then it could be redox, it could be complexometric, and it could be precipitation. Acid base is one of the titration. So now that titration you can perform using any apparatus also. So it's not that you are going to use conventional burette pipette and all, but you can anytime utilize the pH meter to find that. So this video is more focused about telling you how to use pH meter in order to perform the same acid base titration, which was like HCl NaOH titration, which you have done earlier. So let us start with, your aim obviously would be to find the strength of HCl, and you have to titrate it with respect to NaOH. But we are going to use a pH meter here. So it is HCl versus NaOH titration, which you have done using phenolphthalein indicator. You got the color change and you wrote the endpoint. But here you are not going to use indicator. So if you see the chemicals, it would be only NaOH and HCl. And for HCl, we have to identify the normality. That is what the aim today. And distilled water we are going to use. Apparatus would be pH meter specially, and rest all apparatuses you know. So let us start with, what are you going to do? Obviously you are going to titrate. So now you are going to titrate this HCl versus NaOH. So you have to pipette out 10 ml of the HCl because you need to know the normality of HCl. So you will take it in a limited amount, which is 10. Then you have to titrate it with NaOH, and you have to titrate, and there is no color change here. So you just have to titrate it by almost fixed amount here, NaOH. So that is what the difference of this titration here. We are not going to add the indicator, so there will be no color change. You just simply have to add that base to the acid continuously. Now let us go in detail. What we are going to do is we are going to use the setup. Let me go to this first, the setup first. Now this is what the pH meter looks like. If you can see here, pH or ORP meter, which is nothing but oxidation reduction potential meter. 10.94, which you can see here, is nothing but the reading of this solution. Now if you see, there is a solution here, and pH electrode is dipped. So this is nothing but an electrode which is dipped in the solution, and once it is dipped in the solution, it is connected through this wire to this pH meter. It will give you the pH of the solution. So 10.94 is nothing but the pH of this solution in which the electrode is dipped, and 25.0 degrees Celsius is obviously the temperature, which you can call it as a room temperature also. Now if you see the pH meter, there are lot many versions to pH meter, but normally the digital pH meter will give you these readings. There would be calibration knob where there will be increase decrease temperature, there will be setup or something, and majorly the calibration is done in starting. For calibration, we take standard solutions of like buffer solutions of standard pH, let's say 2 pH, 4, 7 pH, and once you dip the pH electrode, the reading should come like this: 2, 4, 7, whatever pH you are taking. If not, then we use this calibration knob to calibrate the instrument. So once the calibration is done, then you may utilize the instrument. So as of now, what you're going to use as an instrument would be this pH meter, and then pH meter is connected to this pH electrode. This particular is obviously you can see magnetic stirrer. So it's a magnetic stirrer, or here this is the light, this is a switch, and if you see this switch, this is used to increase or decrease the speed of the stirrer. So if you keep the solution here in this conical flask, and with the help of burette you keep on adding. So what we'll do is we'll take HCl solution here, and we'll take NaOH in the burette. So we need to add NaOH to HCl, and we have to continuously stir this solution also, because obviously titration is all about adding dropwise and stirring. Here we are not going to add dropwise, rather we are going to add it in the lots of 1 ml. So 1 ml added to the solution, and then you have to see the pH of the solution. So what happens here in pH metric titration would be the change in the pH. So if you add NaOH base to an acid, I hope you understand there will be change in the pH. since acidic is less than 7, basic is greater than 7 pH range. So if you keep on adding base to an acid, it will neutralize it, right? So the starting the pH would be low and later on it will keep on increasing. So this is a general setup of the pH meter. Now coming one by one to each portion. Now this one is a electrode which you are going to use. Now let me tell you which type of electrode it is. It is basically a combined electrode, because we need two electrodes to combine a circuit, right? So glass electrode and calomel electrode are used, and it basically looks like this, wherein you have a bulb portion at the end. So this is silver chloride dipped in it. So pH electrode basically has two electrode. One is a glass electrode and second is a reference electrode. Reference you can take as a calomel electrode. So basically what happens is this kind of cell setup is done. I hope you remember Nernst equation, right, which you have understood in electrochemical chapter, right? EMF you have to find out, which is like 0.203 RT over NF and log of concentration of product over reactant. So wherever there is log of H plus, negative log of H plus becomes pH. So this particular term can be converted into pH, and if these values are given of these cell, pH can be solved. So basically using this Nernst equation, pH meter works whenever there is log of H plus in product or reactant, overall reaction if you see. So I think you remember half cell, oxidation and reduction half cell, right? So it utilizes this. So basically this electrode, it looks like this. This information I've taken from Wikipedia, which was very easy to understand. Like this one is your sensing part of the electrode. So when you dip this electrode in this solution which is having H plus ion, this is the portion which is going to sense that. Then this is your internal electrode, which is like silver chloride or calomel electrode you can take. This one is your internal solution, which is normally like KCl. And when we use silver chloride, then sometimes of silver particle get precipitated, AgCl. So you can see those precipitate also. And then this one is your reference electrode. In our case, it is calomel electrode. Then this is reference solution, which is also 0.1 molar KCl. Then this is junction of these two, and then 8 is the overall body of the electrode. So now let us go in detail of how does this pH meter work. Basically you need to understand that it is combined electrode, and when it is combined, this kind of cell setup is done, which is like this is calomel electrode, this is glass electrode. And now using Nernst equation, it will give you the H plus concentration. So now if you dip this in this solution, whatever is the H plus concentration, because pH is potency of hydrogen, right? Negative log of H plus. So whatever H plus concentration would be there, that in terms of pH, it will solve and give you the answer. So we are going to estimate the normality of HCl with respect to NaOH by using pH meter. So we are going to observe the change in the pH when we add NaOH to HCl. So now what are you going to do is, first obviously you have to wash that electrode first. Then you take that electrode and dip it in the solution. Then start adding NaOH from the burette and take several readings. And then we have to plot the graphs, pH versus volume. Like when you add something, volume of the NaOH, when you add 1 ml from the burette, what is the pH of the solution? When you add 2 ml from the burette, what is the pH of the solution? When you add 3 ml, what is the pH? So there will be a relation between the volume of NaOH you are adding from the burette to the pH of HCl solution in the beaker, right? That is what we want to know. And then we'll plot one more graph, and at the end we'll find out the strength. Now how are we going to do? So let us see this particular video. So now this is your pH meter. This is the reading 6.78, because in this solution it is dipped and the solution is 6.78 pH. So this is your conical flask, right? And this is your electrode. So now if you see here, this is the bulb. I think you can see this. This is the bulb, right, of the glass electrode. I think you can see this wire also, and you can see this wire also. So this is your outside reference electrode. This is your internal wire. These wires are of platinum. So this is basically a combined electrode, glass and calomel. So just observe this electrode closely. This is how it looks. See, internal, you can see internal tube. This is glass, and this outside blue is nothing but the cover of this electrode. So it is of glass, so it is very delicate. That is why we keep it in a cover. This is your beaker, and in this burette you have to fill your NaOH solution. So just take a funnel and fill the NaOH solution inside. Make sure you don't have bubble like this. So just remove it. Then you have to use HCl solution obviously, and 0.1 normal NaOH in the burette, distill water, and then pipette, and this is pH meter. So this is what the experimental setup. Now first you have to find the normality of HCl. So you'll pipette out 10 ml of the HCl using a pipette, and this is a pipette pump. So now you have to add it in the beaker. So this is your 10 ml HCl which is present in the beaker. Now you have to add a magnetic bead to it. What is this? This is a magnetic bead. Now if I take a pause here, this white material is a magnetic bead. Outside it's a Teflon coating, so that is why you see it like a white colored thing, but that is a coating to save that magnet from corrosion. Because what is there, it is a magnetic stirrer. So there is iron plate inside, this is magnet. What happens is inside when iron rotates, this magnet rotates. So this is how it will work. It will work as a stirrer for us. And you have to now wash the electrode with distilled water. Distilled water is to be used throughout the experiment, because if you use tap water it may induce some pH. Now coming back to this, like if we want to here, what we can do is we can regulate the speed of the particular stirrer also. Secondly, here when you have taken the HCl, like here when you are taking the HCl, now you imagine this HCl is only 10 ml, right? So this portion is only 10 ml. Now if you remember the electrode was having a bulb portion at the bottom. So now if in a beaker you take that electrode and the beaker is only having 10 ml of the solution, this bulb is not going to get immersed fully. And if this is the sensing part, I guess you remember I told you that this is the sensing part. Now if this sensing part is not fully immersed in the solution, it may give you wrong result. So for that what I'll do is I'll add some amount of distilled water in it randomly. So that distilled water is not going to change the pH of the solution. So safely you can add and with 10 ml only you'll be able to perform that titration. Because like to dip that electrode you could have taken around 20-30 HCl, right? But then in that case you have to add more of NaOH also from the burette. So why to waste the solution, why to add that much in excess? So what we are doing is we are only using 10 ml of the HCl, but to dip that bulb we'll randomly add distilled water in it so that the bulb is properly immersed in it. Now you have a look at it again. This is the magnetic bead. So you're just adding a magnetic bead and you're switching it on. So now the plate will move. We need a continuous stirring and we are not going to do the manual stirring. So this is what the electrode is, and then you have to wash it with distilled water so that no other ions are there. And then in order to dip this continuously you have to add distilled water. Now you see the pH is 2.19, right? Now you start adding solution from the burette. Now here you can regulate the speed so that at one place the stirrer is moving and other place the electrode is kept safely. Now you add full 1 ml of NaOH from the burette to the beaker, and now you see the reading 1.98, right? Immediately add 1 more ml and then again see the reading, and then keep on doing the same thing. You have to keep on adding 1 ml NaOH and we are watching the reading. So you have to quickly note down those readings in your copy. You have to see what difference does it make to the pH. See, the pH is rising very, very slowly because right now 1 ml is not making much of the difference. So since you are adding 1 ml, you need to continuously stir it, and that is why we are using mechanical stirrer, magnetic stirrer, so that we are not supposed to move or stir the beaker continuously. So continuously you have to add 1 ml and see the change in the pH. Whatever first reading you observe, just write that reading. 3.1, because what happens is it keeps on changing, because 1 ml you have added NaOH to HCl, so obviously it will react continuously. What I want is, what is the reading after adding that 1 ml? So 6.02, that's it. Now again add 7.23, that's it. So it will keep on increasing, but you have to note the first one, 8.89, and then you keep on increasing. And just look on the reading, 9.95. So now if I add 1 ml, 10.57, again add 1 ml. So almost 20 to 21 ml of NaOH you are supposed to add continuously in this HCl solution, 10.99. I'll tell you why we are doing that in the next slide. So now you just have to observe to the burette, add exact 1 ml, and that's it. So I hope it's done. Let us revise it one again. This is your pH meter, right? And this is your electrode, which is a combined electrode. Glass plus calomel we are using. Outside it is a protective covering for that electrode, right? You can see the wires inside it. So now what you're going to do, you're going to fill the burette with NaOH. Take 10 ml of HCl in the beaker, add a magnetic bead to it, start stirring. Wash the distilled, use distilled water for washing that electrode. Dip that electrode in it, set the RPM, set the speed of rotation. Then keep on adding NaOH from top and see the change in the pH. So keep on adding 1 ml NaOH and see the change in pH. So I think with that you're able to understand what we have done. Now let us go ahead with why are we doing this or what are we doing. See what we have done. We have like one beaker in which you have added around 10 ml of HCl. Then you dipped one electrode in it, which was a combined electrode, but the electrode was not properly immersed. So what you did, you added some distilled water to it. So now it is properly immersed. Now this electrode is joined to a pH meter, and here you will get some reading. So now first reading is 0 ml NaOH. That means your pure 10 ml HCl, the first reading is whatever comes here is 2.04, right? So that is what you have to write. Now 1 ml NaOH. So what you will do is from the burette, right? From the burette in which you have taken NaOH, just add 1 ml full 1 ml of NaOH to this beaker and note what is the reading. Then again add 1 ml of NaOH, note the reading. 1 ml of NaOH, note the reading. Now if you see the pattern here, you are adding in 1 ml of the difference. But see the change in the pH. The pH is very like small change here, right? And then there is abrupt change here, and then again small change here. So do you understand what is the meaning of that? Let me go to the next slide. I'll tell you why. See, this is observed pH and this is NaOH added. What we'll do is we'll plot these readings like this. So here you have a pH scale and here you have a volume of NaOH. So you have added around 1 ml, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, around 20 to 25 ml you have to take. Your graph will look like this sigmoidal curve. When you plot pH versus volume, you will see that in starting here, there is very slow change in the pH. Here also there is very slow change in the pH, while this one is a very rapid one, very fast change in the pH. Right? This is what the change in the pH is. Now can we see why it is so? You see the reading here. The readings are very slow, then fast, and then slow, right? So now why it is so? In starting, when you're having pure 10 ml of HCl, right, and you're adding NaOH to it, so you're neutralizing it. So in starting, it is the lowest, because HCl being acidic, it is the lowest. Now you add base to it, so obviously it will neutralize, the pH start increasing. So slowly the pH will start increasing because you are adding NaOH to the HCl. Now in this 1 to ml range, what happens? It crosses 7 suddenly. Why? Because the equivalence point is reached. Let's say if you perform it using phenolphthalein, let's say if you perform this 10 ml HCl versus NaOH titration using phenolphthalein. So at that time, let's say you get color change at 8.3 ml and you noted that volume, right? And you utilized it for N1V1 and N2V2, right? Let's say this is HCl, this is NaOH. My aim is to find out normality. Volume pipetted out is 10 ml. Normality of NaOH is 0.1, and V2 is the volume of NaOH we take from the burette where the color changes. So in this case it is 8.3 ml. What about this case? Here there is no color change. So how will you find out V2? V2 will find out using this plotting the graph. Now if you can see, earlier you were adding like 8 ml, then 9 ml, then 10 ml, 11 ml, 12 ml, right? Let's say, let me change it to 11.3, right? Let me change it to this. So now what difference does it make? When we are adding 1 ml, it is not making much difference. So when we were on 11, it was not much. But when we added 12, it immediately crosses 7. Obviously because the endpoint is reached. But now here, since we are not using drop wise, here it was drop wise, right? So we were able to identify कि कौन सी drop पे answer आया है. But here it is not drop wise, you are adding 1 ml. So that is why you will find an abrupt change here, because till 11 it was not neutralized, and once you added 12, that is 1 ml, it was neutralized, and in fact you have added extra. The answer might have come at 11.3, but you have added extra NaOH. You have reached to 12. That is why it will not wait to 7. Rather it will cross and it will come in the basic range. So this is what the main point is. That main endpoint is because here you are going to get the result. Now if you keep on adding 1 ml NaOH, it is not going to make much of the difference, because now HCl is already utilized, it is neutralized, and the solution is in basic range and it will remain basic. So that is why we take almost 20 to 25 readings depending on the graph. Like if you are getting almost 8-10 readings here, so you just perform around 8 to 10 readings here also. This graph is actually I have scanned from one of my students' notebook. That is why my sign is also there, and the readings also I have taken from that only. Alright, so I think I made you understood that this is what the thing. Now to find out the endpoint, what you will do is you will sorry, there is a mistake. This one is 7, right? So let's say this is 7. So at 7 you have to extrapolate it and you have to take it down, right? So you have to take it down. So whatever is 7, let's say if you find this 7, so you just scale it up here and then you come down to this scale, right? And wherever it meets, that would be your V2. So since at the neutralization point it should be 7, so you just have to extrapolate it to the curve and then you have to extrapolate it to the volume axis to get the final V2. Now coming back to, we have done this portion. Now del pH is the change in pH. So if you subtract these readings, you will be able to understand what is the change in the pH. So just write that. Del V is change in the volume, which is obviously 1 because we always took in the change of 1 ml, and then del pH by del V would be obviously this. Now you have to plot one more graph. Now if you go to the next one, this is also a graph, and this is del pH by del V versus volume of NaOH 1, 2, 3, 4 till 25. You may write. You have to write the scale also on top, and then if you plot, you will get one peak, a plateau kind of curve. Earlier it was sigmoidal, right? Slow increase, rapid increase, slow increase. Now it is basically a sigmoidal curve. So wherever you have a peak, just extrapolate it to the volume axis and you will get your V2. Now that reading you have to utilize here. So 11.2 we got the answer from the graph. First graph, pH versus volume, that is what we have to use. So we'll find out the normality, and now to find out the strength, you multiply it with the equivalent weight. We are finding out for HCl, so obviously you have to use equivalent weight of HCl, and then you can write the answer in gram per liter. So the your aim was to determine the strength, and that is what you have written. The strength of given strong acid solution, which is nothing but HCl, is 4.08 gram per liter. I hope you are able to understand. So what we have done is we have seen that pH versus volume and del pH by del V versus volume graph, right? So whatever is the curve at 7-point scale, just extrapolate it to the curve and go down to get the end point or equivalence point of this. This is obviously a equivalence point, better than the titration one. Now tell me, can you think of this kind of situation where you get this kind of solution? When will you get this kind of pH curve? Yes, when you take HCl in burette and you titrate it with NaOH, which is there in the beaker. So if NaOH is in the beaker, the first pH would be in basic range, and if you keep on adding HCl from burette to it, it will decrease. But the moment the transition would be same, if you extrapolate it on 7, answer would be same. Similarly, dpH by dV graph would be same. So here this is a plus point of this type of titration, that it is like you can take anything in the beaker, anything in the conical flask, because this is very important to this is very important titration wherein you can take much diluted solutions also. So you don't have to think on whether the solution is perfect for finding indicator or not. If it is very diluted, colored or turbid also, then also you can utilize this method, because in that the color change is a problem. Similarly, very low titrant concentration is there, then also pH metric titration can be used. It is used in the reaction when there is no suitable indicator, right? So sometimes when there is very weak acid to very weak base titration, or maybe strong base versus weak acid, etc., sometimes we don't find suitable indicators. Sometimes colored solution are there, so we don't find suitable indicator. In that case also pH meter can be used. Choice of indicator obviously depends on pH, and that is why pH metric titrations are having importance. And then obviously there is no indicator, so there is no cumbersome process of that. Obviously, one more point is that the location of endpoint is quite accurate here, because there like you were having titration, it was like human error can be there, and we were able to we were doing it 2-3 times in order to get the concurrent value. But here you don't have to repeat the entire experiment. It is like one time done and it is final. No endpoint or single experiment is sufficient. So no endpoint is necessary, because we are going to anyhow locate it graphically by extrapolating it, right? So obviously graphical results average out your mistakes. So obviously this is better. So I think this is how this experiment is important, and it is better than that. So with that, I thank you all for watching the video. If you like it, just click on like and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.